guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up. First book that I read in the month of June was Little Bird by Jenica Snow. This is the fourth and final book in her Underworld Kings series. I believe this one's everybody's favorite. This one I ended up giving 4.5 stars to, run it down to 8.4. I think that this one, it was good. It is one of my favorite ones from this series. I do think that it was lacking a little bit more of an emotional connection, but overall, this one had, I believe, the most emotional connection between the hero and the heroine. So we have our hero, who is the one that owns the dog, the one that I was most excited about. Our hero actually ends up going to jail because he was caught, I believe, in this underground fighting thing. He is in jail for about like 5 years, and during this time, our heroine sends him letters. He only replies twice in the 5 years that she has been sending him letters, and they kind of build this relationship, I don't want to say they build this relationship between the letters, but she opens up to him a lot in the letters because she feels lonely. She feels like she doesn't have somebody to talk to. Her home life is bad. Her father is trash. She has only had our hero who had protected her once, and she kind of formed this attachment to him. And our hero was very cold, kind of emotionless type hero. He responds once, basically telling her to stop sending him letters, and then he replies the second time when she's actually of age, because she actually ends up sending him photos, and not like any risque photos, but just like what she looks like now, like photos with her sister or whatever. He actually kind of builds this like lust for her, and then when he gets out of prison, he goes and searches for her, and they kind of start this sexual relationship. And it was really good, really smutty, easy to read. Honestly, I loved this series. I think it is one of Jenica Snow's best work. Moving on, then I ended up reading Dating Dr Dill by Nisha Sharma. I actually listened to this on audio. I gave it 4.5 stars, rounded it up to a 5. The reason why I rounded it up to a 5 is because I honestly didn't find absolutely any faults in this book. It is steamier than I thought it was gonna be. I honestly thought there was not gonna be any steam, but I absolutely loved it. There are laugh out loud moments. I really liked the heroine and I liked the hero. So Dating Dr Dill is about our heroine. She is actually at this bar when she sees our hero, and our hero sees her across the bar basically, and our hero is there because his best friend owns this restaurant. Our heroine was there with her best friends, but her best friends end up leaving, and she kind of gets a drink at the bar, and this is where our hero actually like gets the nerve to go and talk to her, and they have this moment at the bar where they have this instant chemistry, instant just connection. Their conversations flow easy, they have things in common, they're really vibing with each other. Do we see this? No. We see this conversation, this connection throughout the book, because there are kind of like not flashbacks, but like one moment our heroine will remember something that the hero said that night, or vice versa. The hero remembers something that the heroine said that night. So that's how we kind of see how they built that connection, that first initial connection. But essentially they have this explosive moment. They actually end up going into like the back office because, like I said, the hero's best friend owns this restaurant, so he kind of has access to around the restaurant, and they go into this closet office and they're like getting undressed, having this like heavy petting moment. Then the hero's phone rings and he panics and he leaves the room while the heroine is stuck with her shirt like halfway off, and the hero actually never comes back, or so the heroine thinks, but she's instantly put off that he would answer the phone while they were in the middle of this. So obviously there's this miscommunication that happens. Then our heroine sees our hero again because our heroine's sister actually is like a social media influencer, and she is asked to be in this Dating Dr Dill show, and our hero ends up being Dr Dill. And in this TV show, he talks about cardiovascular health, heart problems, and like heart facts and all this stuff, and how people of color and how specifically the hero and heroine's families don't get enough appropriate health care. So I loved the discussions that we had about that. But in this talk show, he says that he doesn't believe in love, and our heroine is there without the hero knowing that she's there, and she actually stands up and like goes off on him, and it goes all over social media because obviously like online live television, and the sister ends up posting the whole argument, and it just gets a lot of traction, right? And this is where we have like our hate to love, because the hero is so embarrassed and he's so mad about the heroine. Like, she doesn't understand. The hero literally doesn't believe in love. Like, he is that kind of hero. Our heroine is all about that love. She wants that romance. She doesn't want to settle for anything less. But now she has to get married to receive her trust fund, essentially, from her father, because her father is selling her childhood home that she's put so much time and work and money towards. Father is selling it and she wants to buy it, but she needs the money from her trust fund, so she needs to get married, but she wants to find true love. But her aunties, which are so funny, kind of match her up with Dr. Dill. I feel like that was a lot, but it basically starts this kind of possible marriage of convenience. The hero is super into it because he wants more traction for the show so he can get more money, and his investors are more into him and see him as more of a married man, family man, so he could get money to open his hospital that he wants to benefit families that aren't being provided the correct health care. But they don't really get married. She's kind of dating other people and having him be her last option because, like I said, she does not want to settle. But the way that the hero falls first and he grovels and he takes her out, and their conversations and how easily it flows and how tragic every other dating experience is for the heroine, it's so funny. But the hero does all of these things to convince the heroine, and she's falling in love with him, and she knows that he will never love her the way that she wants to be loved. And he's like, I'm an actions man, like, see everything that I'm doing, I just can't give you the words. And then it kind of goes on from there. It was really good. I truly loved it. I can't wait for the second book. It was funny. It was an easy listen. I loved the hero. If you like a man about action and kind of very little words, but you know, you do get his POV, so you get to see inside his head. It was so good, you guys. Then I ended up picking up the first book in the Explicitly Yours series by Jessica Hawkins. I won't talk too much about this series, essentially, because I do end up reading it for my new releases reading vlog that I recently posted. I will link it up here in the cards. But I will say I gave this whole series overall as a whole 5 stars. I loved it so much. I binged it. So like I said, I read the first book, the second book, the third book, and the fourth book, and the novella. Yeah. I read all of them. I binged them. I couldn't stop reading. I needed to get to the HA. It was just so good. I talk about it more in that reading vlog. You guys should definitely check it out. But it was amazing, phenomenal. Definitely climbed up to one of my top reads of this year. Then I ended up reading Debutantes Curse by Jessica Kane. This is something that I just needed kind of to read in between the Explicitly Yours series. This is 3.5 stars from me. Rounded it up down to a 3. It is basically our heroine is hurt, and to be healed, she kind of gets this curse put on her that she won't be satisfied with just one man. This is forbidden and taboo and very smutty. You guys know Unhinged is Jessica Kane. One of the heroes is her ward. There's that daddy king / guardian trope there, and then she has like a stepbrother, like the guardian. He adopted one of the other heroes and the heroine, and so they're like step siblings, but they're really not related. So that's another one of the heroes. And then the third hero is a man that the heroine met as a boy in foster care. So it was I hella enjoyed it. That's why I gave it 3.5 stars, but obviously I rounded it down to a 3. It was a quick and easy smutty read. Then I ended up reading Grump Gone Wild by Cassie Mint. I gave this one 3 stars. I believe this one is about our hero. He needs a fake date to like this family get together. He asked his assistant to go with him. The assistant has been pining over him for the longest time, and she agrees to this fake date. She doesn't think she's gonna be able to do it, but she also doesn't want to miss the chance to be able to be in a relationship with the hero, and it goes on from there. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. Gave it 3 stars. Then I ended up reading Grump Gone Bad. I honestly can't remember much about this one. I gave it 3 stars though. Oh yeah, okay. This one is about our heroine. She is actually an assistant as well to this man, but she comes into work one day and she sees her boss and she feels this immediate attraction. She's like, who are you? Because you're not my boss. But it's her boss's twin brother, and he's more of a hands-on construction-y kind of worker, and they just kind of have this immediate connection, and they have this fling, and it's very forbidden workplace romance. I really enjoyed that one as well. And then I read the third book in that series. It's a whole lot of Grump. I believe this is my favorite. I gave it 4 stars. Her heroine is a masseuse, and she has been giving our hero massages for the past like couple of years, I believe, but nothing has come from it, and she gives him massages in his office. That hero is like so grumpy, so stoic. He like doesn't smile. He is just like super work, just a big grump, basically. Like, I mean, it's a grumpy series, and I just love the way that this one played out. I just enjoyed it more than the other ones, and I truly loved this one. Eventually it gets steamy, and eventually they get together, and it turns into giving each other massages, if you will. Then I ended up picking up Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I will not go into too much depth about this one because I will be posting here soon a reading vlog where I actually read this book, and I rave and rant and just go super in depth into this one, and just wait for that reading vlog. It's gonna be so good. I will say that I read this book physically. I started it on a Friday night and I finished it the next day, but I had like one chapter. It was like past midnight, and I had like one more chapter, and I just left it for the next day. But I literally could not stop reading. I loved it so much. I was laughing out loud. I was swooning. It was so good. But stay tuned for that reading vlog. Then I ended up picking up Big Brawny Mechanic by Cassie Hart. I gave this one 3 stars. I honestly can't remember anything about it. Then I ended up picking up Always Only You by Chloe Leese. This is the second book in the Bergman Brothers series. I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars, rounded up to a 5. I actually ended up listening to this one. I think the narrators did such an amazing job. I really loved this one. I rounded it up to a 5, like Dr. Dill, because there was literally nothing wrong with this book, like nothing. But it didn't get a 5 star just because I didn't get that 5-star feeling. But like at the same time, I'm more easily giving 5 stars now, because just because I don't get that feeling, it doesn't mean that it's not a 5-star. But I'm rounding it up to a 5, but it's really a 4.5 for me. Anyways, I don't think that made any sense. But this one is about, I need to remember these names. This is about our hero Ren and our heroine Frankie. So Frankie is on the autism scale. Is that how you say it? I could totally be wrong. I'm so sorry. But yeah, she has autism, and she has just her personality, the way her thought process is, the way she just acts. She also has chronic pain. She uses the cane, and I love the representation in that. There is a caretaking scene, absolutely beautiful. Ren has only had eyes for Frankie since he met her 2 years ago, and that's why it's called Always Only You, because it has always only been Frankie. And it is just thinking about the book, it brings a smile to my face. And I love the chemistry, the tension, just the way that Chloe Leese can build up a relationship. Like, you can feel the sexual tension, you can feel how much these characters want each other, but there's things like kind of standing in the way, and there's like certain moments that just bring up that chemistry, if that makes sense. Ren is a hockey player. He is a ginger. He is fine as hell, I will tell you that. He is just the perfect man, and he is so funny. He drives a minivan. And he is just like this very calm person, but he will fight for the people that he loves, and he will stand up for the people that he loves. And I just overall loved the relationship. There's no bad things that happened in this book that I didn't like. That's why it has to be a round up to a 5-star. Just amazing. I definitely recommend for you guys to read it. Honestly, pick up this whole series. I've only read the 3rd book. I mean, I've only read the first 2 books in the series, but I already know that it's gonna be absolutely amazing. I loved it so much. It is an opposites attract, forbidden love, sports romance. It is forbidden because Frankie is like the social media PR person, and Ren is on the hockey team, and they can't be together. About a nerdy, late blooming hockey star. Oh my god, yeah. I did not know this. Should I tell y'all? Maybe I shouldn't tell y'all so y'all can like go in, but I know that if I tell you what it is, that maybe more of you will be more inclined to read it. But you know what? I'm gonna just keep it to myself. But anyways, about a nerdy, late blooming hockey star. I loved that part of the book. I loved it so much. Oh my god, and when they first like actually like get together, so good. And his tough cookie coworker who keeps both her soft side and her autism diagnosis to herself. Complete with a meddling secretary, tantric yoga torture, and a scorching slow burn, this standalone is the second in a series of novels about a Swedish-American family of 5 brothers, 2 sisters, and their wild adventures as they each find happily ever after. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Moving on, then I read A Baby for the Firefighter by Fern Fraser. I gave it 2.5 stars. I must have not liked it because I rounded it down to a 2. Then I ended up reading The Darkest Sunrise Duet, but I will put the picture up of the first book, The Darkest Sunrise. This one I gave 5 stars. The second book I gave 5 stars as well. Overall, a 5-star duet. So we have our heroine. This is like a dark emotional romance. It is so crazy. I listened to this on Anyplay. The audio narration was phenomenal. The story was phenomenal. I loved the way that it played out. It was just so heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. Like, still thinking about it, like the things that both of these characters go through. Oh my god. Okay, so basically we have our heroine. She gets her baby taken at a park. It's 10 years later and she basically has just never recovered. I mean, how can you recover from that? And she doesn't know if her child is alive or dead, and she basically becomes a cardiovascular surgeon or just like a cardiovascular doctor, but she does not treat children. And she's just honestly been going through life like she really just hasn't been living. She is in constant pain and grief, and there is just no color in her world. Like, she is going through it. And then our hero, he has a dark past as well. He wants to get in touch with our heroine because she is a cardiovascular doctor, and he wants to get more information about that. And this is how they meet. She is so reluctant to love, and he knows that our heroine could never work just because she can't be with him for a specific reason. And I don't want to say what it is because it might be spoilers, and I really want you guys to go into this blind because that's what I did. I had no idea what this book was about, and like they kind of part ways, and then they are just like the way that they feel with each other in each other's company, the way that the conversation flows, the way the hero is. He is so charming. He is so hot. He is just there for the heroine, but like they click because they both have these dark pasts, and they both are kind of living in limbo, but they see each other. You know what I mean? They see each other's souls. They understand each other. So their love story is just absolutely beautiful. I definitely think you guys should read. It was so good, you guys. It was so good. Then I ended up picking up The Devil of London by Amelia Hutchins. I ended up DNFing this at 45% just because I never figured out what the fuck was happening, basically. Then I read Dangerous Innocence, which I will leave you guys in suspense. I did read that in my new releases reading vlog that I linked earlier for you guys. Make sure you check it out. Then I ended up reading Runaway Rogue by Cassie Mint. I gave this one 3.5 stars, rounded it up to a 4, but I cannot tell you a single thing about this novella. Oh yeah. Okay. So we basically have our hero. He is a rogue agent gone AWOL on a tropical island, and they send our heroine, a barista, to go fetch him because our hero goes into our heroine's coffee shop where she works at, and they have this undeniable chemistry. He keeps going back, and it sets a routine, and he knows people are watching him, and he actually goes in one night while she's closing, and they have this kiss, but then he disappears. And then the agency kind of kidnaps the heroine and tells her, like, you have to go and help us get this rogue agent, which is our hero, because you're like the bait. And it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, that's all I will say about that one. Then I ended up reading Keep Her Safe by QB Tyler. This is her newest release. I gave this one a solid 4-star. I really did love it. I loved, what's his name? I want to say is Damien? Yeah, wow, I was right. His name is Damien, and our heroine is Shay. So Shay is a actress. She's an actress, and her bodyguard is Damien. And Damien has been Shay's bodyguard since she was 18. And then 5 years later, she's like, what, 23, 24, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 23? Did I do that right? Anyway, she's like 23, 24. She has just recently gotten out of a relationship because she finds out that the man that she's currently in a relationship with is literally cheating on her. Like, she walks in on him cheating on her, but she has to kind of act cool because he's also an actor. She doesn't want the gossip sites, the paparazzi get this information, but then the fact that she gets out of this relationship opens up like doors for Damien to kind of slip through. Jay starts teasing him and they kind of fall into this sexual relationship, and I just honestly, I loved being on Damien's point of view because he just loves her so much and he wants to protect her, and he's always been there for her. He's always taken care of her, always protected her, and this is a romance. And I really honestly truly loved Shay as well. I loved her character. I loved her mind. I loved the actress that she was. Her friends were really annoying, but I guess it was kind of understandable. And yeah, I just gave it a solid 4-star because I really did love it. It wasn't anything like, oh my god, you know? I do think that I loved Forget Me Not more than Keep Her Safe, but Keep Her Safe is a close second. Then I ended up picking up The Orc From the Office by Kate Pryor. This is totally a recommendation from Ava Reads Romance. I gave this one a solid 3 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I liked the concept. I really liked the hero and how shy he was, kind of like a tech nerd. The only reason why I didn't love it more, I feel like, is because the heroine was very resistant. But basically we have our heroine, she is struggling with the printer, and then our hero actually goes into the printer area and he's like, do you like let me help you? She's like, no, like I got this. And he's like getting close to her and he's like, no, I can help you. And she does something and she like lets go. She swings her elbow back and she hits him right in the nose and makes him bleed. And in orc tradition, their mate is the first person to like draw blood. Sorry if there was a lighting change, but basically after the drawing of blood, it starts this mating situation. So they start to get really hot and heavy for each other and they just can't stay away from each other. But it's an office romance, so there's like a lot of HR paperwork and like regulations, and the heroine really doesn't want to get into another like office romance relationship because of the previous one that she was in, and she doesn't want any trouble. So she was very reluctant to be in this like orc relationship. So I think that's why I gave it 3 stars, but I overall really enjoyed it, and I definitely think that you should read if you're looking for an orc romance. Then I ended up picking up Sold to the Duke by Joanna Shoup. I gave this one 4 stars. It was so good. I love Joanna Shoup, which is Mila Finelli, and this is a historical. Joanna Shoup really makes me want to read historicals. Her smut is amazing, especially for a historical romance, I believe. This one, our heroine, she is auctioning herself off her virginity, essentially, to get money so she could further help her sister who is sick. And our hero is our heroine's deceased brother's best friend, and they just didn't know about each other because he had gone away after the brother's death, and he just assumed that the sisters were gonna be taken care of. But when he comes back and he's at this auction, he pays for the heroine because he realizes who it is, and he's like instantly attracted to her, and he like wants her virginity, but he's like, no, I can't take it from her. I can't be with her because of her brother. He feels guilt over her brother's death, which you further find out. But the heroine is having none of that. She does not want the money. She does not want the help. She's like, if you're gonna give me this money, then you owe me for 7 days, essentially, because that's what he had paid for. Very back and forth, but eventually they give in to each other, and it is so hot, so steamy. I honestly really loved it, and I loved how it ended. It was really good. Then I ended up picking up Complicated Hearts by Ashley Jade. This is the first book in a duet. I gave it 4 stars. I loved it. I actually listened to this on Anyplay. This is about our heroine Breslin. And then our hero Asher. We basically see a lot of the relationship in this first book because they are high school sweethearts, but so much happens. They have kind of like this instant connection. Asher is like the perfect man, perfect boyfriend to Breslin. He really like lifts her up, and he is super kind to her, and they just have, their connection is so deep, you know? But something happens senior year prom night that the heroine kind of gets betrayed by Asher, but there's like so much more in Asher's point of view that you get to see that the heroine doesn't know. So they part ways without the heroine knowing like the full story of what had happened, but the hero lets her go because he doesn't want to hurt her anymore, and he is also just kind of going through it. He also has kind of like a bad home life. So our heroine goes off to college, and so does our hero, and eventually our heroine, when we get to see present day Breslin, she's actually not in a relationship, but she's in a sexual relationship with this man called Landon. And Landon is also absolute perfection. He is your nerdy college student. He's a tutor. He is super smart, but he is very into music. And Breslin and him have this kind of like fuck buddy relationship, but it's obviously something deeper. But Breslin is still kind of scarred from what Asher had done to her in the past, and so she's very, very reluctant to love. But she gets this opportunity to go out of the country for like this art thing, because that's what she's in college for. And she kind of breaks up with Landon before she goes because she doesn't want to string him along. And Landon really is in love with Breslin. Like, he tells her, and she's just like, I can't love you because how can I love you when I have half a heart, when her heart is still with Asher? It is so good. And then because she goes off out of the country for this trip, Asher ends up going to the college that Breslin and Landon are at, and he ends up going to this college because he's getting blackmailed, and he has to go and kind of revive their football team because he is one of the top football players of his time, and is basically helping out his brother as well. But because Breslin's not there, Asher and Landon get to know each other because Landon has to tutor Asher. Asher and Landon end up forming this friendship that kind of turns into more. Do these two men know that they are connected by Breslin? No. So it's very messy, very angsty, and this does end off on a cliffhanger, which I wish I would have immediately jumped into the second book, but I was trying to read so many authors at the time. The first book ends on a cliffhanger. It is a duet. They're both called Complicated Hearts. It's just part 1 and part 2. I will be listening to part 2 sometime soon in July. Then I tell y'all I gave it 4 stars because I loved it. Depending on how the second book goes, I might change my rating for that, but it was so good. I absolutely loved it. I loved the audio narration as well. The first book says it's only 240 pages. Why did the audio feel like it was long as hell? Anyways, now for the rest of June, I read so many novellas, but I will just tell you the ratings for them, and if I remember them. I had read the first 3 books in the Black River Pact series by Rochelle Page. So for the first book, called Crying Wolf, I gave 4 stars. For the second book, called Shoot for the Moon, I gave 4 stars. For the third book, called Thrown to the Wolves, I gave 3 stars. This is a whole series. I believe they're like 13 novellas, and it's basically paranormal creatures getting their fated mates and happily ever after. I binged all of this because there is a plot, like in the first 3 books, or I guess you could say in the first 2 books, the plots don't connect. They're just different plots. In the third book, the plot is so much bigger. So after the third book, you need to read it in order because the plot continues in every book, but they're about different couples and different fated mates. The thing is that the first 3 books are about wolf shifters getting their fated mates. I love fated mates books, and if they're novellas and if the writing is good and the smut is good, girl, you got me there. I'm gonna binge it. I'm gonna binge it. And I also low-key was reading these in the last couple of days of June, and I didn't want to pick up a full-length book because I didn't know if I was gonna finish it in June, and I was also kind of in a reading slump. I was kind of off traveling to Book Bonanza and like the road trip and all of that. I read these like on the road trip, and I kept reading them after I got back. So we have Bear the Consequences, which is book 4. I gave 3 stars. Then I have Bear It All, which is book 5. I gave that one 4 stars. After Bear It All, I ended up picking up Bear the Burden, which I gave 3 stars. After that one is It Shifts Back into a Wolf Shifter romance called Giver of the Moon. I gave that one 4 stars. And then I ended up picking up Bear Your Fate, which switches back to a bear fated mates, which I gave 3 stars to. And that was the last book that I read in the month of June. After that one, I think we get a wolf shifter, and then we get a dragon shifter. So they're like different sort of shifters, but they're all essentially fated mates, smutty novellas, and they're bingeable. They're super short. I think the longest one was 150 pages. No, the longest one was 100 65 pages. So they're just super easy reads. I recommend if you're into mated mates romances. So that was the last couple of books that I read for the month of June. Let me know what your favorite book of June was down below in the comments. And if you don't want to comment any of that, then go ahead and comment either a wolf or a bear emoji down below in the comments. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.